I think like the first thing, right, that everybody kind of wants to start with is just like the background origin story on Dude Wipes. And I listened to like a few podcasts that you've done already in preparation for this, and so I've heard it a bunch. I think it's awesome. So I would love just to start there. Like, who are you? What is Dude Wipes? How'd you guys get started? Chicago native story, by the way. Shout out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm Sean Riley, Chief Executive Dude, as I call myself, of Dude Wipes, but co-founder of the company. So the story you've heard on all of the podcasts, I'm one of the dudes on the couch, drinking beers, eating burritos. You know how it is after college like that, and using baby wipes. And we just wanted to start a business and do some cool shit. So brick by brick, we started, figuring out how to launch Dude Wipes, and getting it going from there over in Wrigleyville was where we first got it going. So yeah, man, it's a lot
And
of
you guys,
fun.
you have co-founders, right?
Yeah, yep.
Are they like your friends
Co-founders.
from? They're like your friends from college that you just moved into the city with, and then you guys were like, we're all pooping, and we need to like. They were
Friends
your
from
friends.
like grade school, high school,
Oh, really? Okay.
guys. Yeah, yeah. So South Side Chicago, guys I grew up with. And then it was like after college, you're living in the city,
Yeah,
doing your
yeah.
9 to 5, kind of like what's next. And yeah, we
And so
got
one of them, I think, is like I feel like I don't actually know who they are. One's like the CFO, right? One of your
yep.
co-founders is the CFO, and then who's the other co-founder? What's it?
CMO. So
CMO. Okay, so
yeah,
you guys
yeah.
still are. Yeah, you're still rocking in the the whole
Still
C-suite.
rocking in our
Let's go.
titles,
That's
basically. Obviously, in the early days, those titles, like, aren't real,
yeah, but
but,
they are real now for you guys for
yeah, they're
sure.
real now for us, and you always had to do a lot of different, like, hustly, but everyone at least still, like, had their focus or their zone, where
Yeah.
they were driving stuff on. So it's fun now. Everyone's, like, working in their strengths, going deeper on, you don't need a CFO when you're doing
Right.
$100,000 out of your apartment.
Right.
Everyone's just figuring out how the hell to grow the company and what to do.
It's kind of funny. Like at Mad Rabbit, like the brand I used to run, I was like CFO, and we were doing like 10 grand a month. And it's like
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like, well, I'm like, I guess I'm like talking to the bookkeeper, but it's like, your hair is just like on fire, like everyone's doing everything kind of a thing. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool that you guys like kept it together as like the band, like all like for what? You were 2012, like 13 years? Was it 2013 or
yeah.
2012?
2012 was we got product in the summer of 2012, so that was
Okay.
our kickoff.
And what was like the I know you guys were like pretty heavy on like Amazon early on, but what was like take me through like the sort of like initial like go to market and like how that evolved over the first like 2, 3, 5 years maybe.
Yeah. First, 6 months, didn't know what we were doing, so we were trying to call on retailers, sell to wholesalers,
Okay.
sell to
So you didn't like
local.
launch e-commerce.
No,
Okay.
didn't even know how to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, we had like a Squarespace website up or something,
Okay.
but, yeah, we is actually kinda shocking how little we knew about how we were gonna sell these wipes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Drugstore.com, though, which was, like, owned by Walgreens.com, ended up buying some wipes from us pretty early on, and so
Okay.
they would buy cases, and they would sell them on their website, and we were like, "Okay," and then we could just tell anybody, "Hey, get them at drugstore.com," it was like a
Yeah,
legit
yeah. Okay.
website.
Fair enough.
And so we started moving some cases, getting through it, and then I knew a buddy who was selling on Amazon.
Okay.
He was selling all sorts of shit on Amazon, making good money back when you could sell, like, CDs and charging cords and make
Yeah,
money.
yeah, literally, yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I'll load the Dude Wipes up." So he starts loading them, and maybe 6, 12 months after we launched, it's like he's buying pallets and pallets of Dude Wipes.
Oh, so you had like a relationship with him where like he would buy them off you, basically. Like
Yes.
okay. Okay.
'Cause we still didn't know enough about it to do it
How to do it.
ourselves,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we were like, "Get it out there." And then we took over, started doing Amazon ourselves,
Uh-huh.
growing that. So that's really like the first like 3 years, and then Amazon starts to pile into like $1 million like run rate sort of
Yeah.
customer. And then we started getting bites from retail about like 3 years in, once we had like a real proof point, which
And
back
who's a
then
who
was $1 million on Amazon. I feel like that's not a real proof point anymore?
I mean, It's so like OG, right? That was like one of the key things that I had to like that I wanted to talk about, which is like because you mentioned it, like you could sell like charging cords on Amazon and like make money,
Right.
and like that would be an insane thing to do today. Like one of the things I kind of wanted to get your perspective on, just like the evolution of Amazon as a channel, like over time, because I was and I'm looking at like the Dude Wipes stuff on Amazon, and it's like I can buy a Dude Wipe pack today for like $4 on Amazon. Like, how is that even? I'm sure people buy more in bulk than that. But point being, just like given that like your price point's like fairly low, Amazon fees are obviously brutal. Like, how did that serve you in the beginning versus like how it serves you now?
Yeah. I mean, you get to a level with Amazon where you're on more of a wholesale relationship.
Okay, so you
So
do vendor central with them.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that's how, you can treat it like any other, large retailer.
Yeah, yeah,
In the early days when you're on seller, you definitely have to sell like higher bundles, higher MSRPs to
yeah,
drive
yeah.
some margin, but our category, yeah, it just stinks for unit economics. So that's why we don't even sell a ton on our website. Kind of like get it in bulk
Yeah,
over
yeah.
to the big distributors and let them sell.
Okay, so yeah, sure,
So
sure.
it's not easy in this kind of business to do the whole D2C, Amazon spin up even. Even the Amazon spin up is challenging. You just gotta, because you gotta get people to buy a lot of your product, and they might not have tried it before. So they may only wanna buy, like, 1 or 2 units, but, low price stuff like ours, you have to do, like, multi-unit sales, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so the first like couple years is like some stores, and then Amazon kind of like gets going, and then you do more retailers. Is that like when you said like real retailers, is that like Walmart or something?
Yeah. Yeah, we got into Kroger first. So
Kroger.
Kroger's toilet paper aisle was like the first big brick and mortar. And then we started getting into like some Target regions, and then Walmart came on heavy like
Okay.
5 years basically into the business.
Okay.
Is when, we went down to Walmart, pitched them as making product in the US. They host annual pitches down there. And
Yeah, yeah.
so we were one of those winners. They gave us a shot in the toilet paper aisle, and kind of we've grown ever since.
And is it kind of like was how big of a deal was like Shark Tank for you guys in terms of like getting these like retailer attentions? Like I know like when Mad Rabbit went on Shark Tank, like it really blew up the brand and like kind of like every way. Because like it's so you're like it sounds so like easy the way that you're saying it, even though I'm sure like it was so much harder than it like sounds in terms of like getting the actual attention and like earning the shelf space, especially like for a category that like I don't believe really existed probably at the time. So like talk about like how did they find you and like why did they give you a chance and like what what kinda led into that?
For the retailers, how do they find you?
The retailers, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Shark Tank helps. Obviously, every bit helps when you're trying to,
Yeah.
like, be the small guy to fight for the big space, so it's why I'm such a proponent in having a brand that actually, like, means something, because you have to understand how much noise you're competing in and how many different people are trying to play in spaces, and so if you don't cut through it, you don't really have a chance of being remembered by people, and that's what Shark Tank's about. It's about memorability, creating, that association with people in their mind, and Shark Tank is, like, a huge opportunity for people to hear the story. It's the American
Yeah.
dream. You're on national TV for 10 minutes, so, like, it won't make a brand who doesn't have a good business plan or something going on, but it certainly can add, rocket fuel and awareness to a brand. Have something interesting to say. That's what I'm telling people first and foremost. And
Okay.
then Shark Tank, any like organic media you can get, PR, you gotta be a dog for it, right? Because like
Well, especially
that's how
because you
you're
guys
gonna
I
win and
thought
get the retailer's attention.
one of the things that you so I've been posting these, like, maps of, like, investors on LinkedIn because people just, like, eat it up in terms of, like, here's, like, the map of, like, all the people that invest in, like, consumer brands in Chicago, and, like, you comment on one, and you're like, "I got rejected
Oh,
by every
yeah,
single
yeah.
one."
You're the king, man. You're the king of these breakdowns. Everybody wants to know the numbers and, like, how it got valued and shit, so it's
I
awesome,
I
dude.
I speculated on the Dude Wipes deal too, which I wanna ask a little bit about, in a second
Yeah.
here. But, in terms of, like so you guys are the reason that I kinda dig onto, like, the go-to-market and, like, the channel mix is because like, I'm sort of trying to understand, like, how this business grew over time with the fact that, like, you guys never raised any money, right? So, like, typically, like, what you would expect is especially for, like, a retail dominant brand that's, like, lower price points, presumably lower margins, Like you basically just like have to dilute yourself to raise the money to like subsidize the business model until you have the volume where the margins actually make sense. I just want to understand, like, if you didn't raise any money, like how did that work? And like, were you trying to raise money and it would have been easier and you just couldn't? Or like, walk me through a little bit about like the starting
Yeah.
up and like financing the business.
Yeah, couldn't raise money in the early days. And so just kind of was what it was, too early of a solution, no experience. So that ended up being a blessing because then we were like, okay, we kind of got a bootstrap. How do we make 250 grand this year on Amazon? Oh, next year we're making 1 million. So like we kind of stopped trying to raise money or talk to anybody and just
Okay.
bootstrap to our first million. And that ends up kind of sequencing a lot of events that come after that. But just the fact that we weren't able to raise early on kind of just like set up the mindset for the rest of the time.
Okay, and so you never really did you ever decide, well, obviously, you did a deal recently, but, did you ever decide, I mean, over that 12-year journey or whatever, did it ever come back into your mind in terms of, like, we should try to raise some money?
Yeah. So obviously we do the Shark Tank deal, 10 years ago, which is technically our like seed investment or raising money.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that was obviously like, hey, we got some growth, we got a bunch of momentum. It was some nice cash coming into the bank, but then we had enough inventory and business history to get like ABLs going.
Okay.
So it's just an inventory business at the end of the day. And if you can
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
asset-based lending, you can solve for inventory as long as you're not bloated with like overhead,
Right.
and you're making decent margin. And so people do have to price themselves appropriately. Like, know you're going to have growth in the future, but don't like bleed yourself out on your early MSRPs. Like, make sure you can sustain some profitability, and then you can just be lending and growing, lending and growing.
Yeah.
And when then we got into the VC level, oh, you guys are doing 10 million a year, stuff like that. And Cuban was just kind of like, why would you take the money? And we're like, I don't know. He's like, "Hey, if you guys wanna take it, like,
Everybody
go
else is
on
doing it,
ahead."
yeah.
He's like, "I support it, but if what you're doing is growing and working and you're profitable and your growth rate is great." And then we had to stop and kinda be like, "Yeah, you could be like, we could put that 5-10 million to work in this marketing and that,"
Yeah, yeah.
but it wasn't going to substantially, like, change anything we didn't believe or be worth the dilution. So then we just kinda kept blowing towards whenever else we wanted to do, like stockholder and equity deal like we did with Cuban.
Right. I think that so this is like a good topic. So like, and I have a question. So what were your guys, the three of you, like, did anybody have like a finance background, just from the standpoint of like these ABL type deals are great when they're great, but it's like not like super simple stuff to kind of understand and like utilize properly. So like, did somebody like
Yeah, yeah.
understand how to do that?
Yeah, for sure. So CFO, did have a real title in terms of he was an investment banker before Dude
Okay.
Wipes. So well-versed, finance dude. So able to
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
grind out on that and understand all the covenances and,
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
all set up, the right way, which definitely takes an expertise for sure. It's just good people to know those tools are there,
Right.
and they're complicated, but you just gotta go through them, get set up with the right people, you know?
And if we wanna, like, even get, like, further into the weeds, so, like, there's, like, a difference between, like, obviously, like, inventory-based lines or asset-based lines and, like, the actual, like, PO financing. So, like, when you guys, like, first were getting into the retail, like, people will get a PO and they'll be all excited, "Hey, Walmart gave me a $1,000,000 PO," and they'll go to, name your asset lender, and the lender will just be like, "Well, this is only your first PO, so come back when you have 5 of them." Like, do you remember at all, like, how
Yeah.
that window went? Because I think that's, like, a huge challenge for especially for, like, digitally native brands that are trying to get into retail, and they don't really have that access to capital just yet. Like, do you remember how you guys kinda navigated that?
Yeah, dude, we were pulling on all, like, the Cabbages of the world and, like,
Okay, yeah,
PayPal
yeah.
loans, you know, just grabbing 100 grand here and having a
Yeah, yeah.
schedule on it, buying some inventory. So, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
you gotta do some of that stuff. We never actually did too much traditional PO factoring,
okay.
but a lot of fly-by-night, like, loan stuff, and then graduated into the
That's
real thing.
that's like so raunchy, that it is so I mean, it can be dangerous though, because like, if you don't grow out of it eventually and then, like, refinance that garbage out, like, those things, like, will suffocate your business, but
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
people get like afraid of them, honestly, even though like they can be very, very useful tools for a business that like has strong fundamentals and like is at least growing like a little bit. Um,
If it's
so
for inventory, it's like, who cares? Like, o
right.
obviously, that should be a good thing, you know? Yeah, I think it's when you spend it wastefully that you get in trouble.
And like when you stack up like these like 40% APR, like I've seen people that are using like Shopify Capital, like Wave, like oh, like they got like four different ones of them, and it's like, well,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
now you're paying like 30% of your revenue in interest every month. So, okay, that's like
That's
an
the way to
interesting part of the story. Yeah, that's a good part of the story. What so and then okay, so I'm looking at one of your LinkedIn posts too. So you said that it took 10 years to get to 100 million. And so that was in
Yeah.
2022. So you basically just borrowed all the way to to 200 million, I guess. So that was enough to finance the business throughout the entire thing. Like, were there any like gaps or like scares, or like was that just like enough? You guys were profitable enough that was always sufficient. Like, would you recommend that? I guess in many ways.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it because the growth rate was great. Yeah, there's always, like, scares and ups and downs in a business, but
Yeah,
when you have
but
great
nothing like
growth rate and you're
existential.
doing it yeah, it's like, yeah, it totally works, man. You just gotta build those lines of credit,
Okay.
but that's it. Once you have sound fundamentals and a good team and you're in the CPG business, like, it's
Yeah.
an inventory funding business and you are something that a bank can bet on because you make $50 million a year selling your widget or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so you kind of move into like another class of a business, and it's like a great spot to be in if you do get there bootstrapped. Not easy to get there bootstrapped, but once you do, you're like, oh shit, this is like the game, you know?
At this point, you guys have like I imagine like JP Morgan or like some like real bank that's kind of funding that, or are you
We're
how
we're chase guys, man. Chase that bag.
okay, okay. So like you went from like you went from like the cabbages, which like honestly like, I know what you mean when you say that, but I've never actually heard of cabbage.
Okay,
uh
yeah, yeah. Amex acquired them,
oh
but when we
really?
were coming up, they were like an up and coming internet loaning,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so like you go from cabbage and now you're with Chase. Was there anything like in the middle there?
Yeah, yeah, like Wintrust locally in Chicago,
Okay.
like, start with the more local banks. They'll give you a little bit better treatment, better rates.
Yeah.
Then, you can stay with them too, but we kinda got to a scale where, the tech, the size of the business, it makes sense to move over to one of the big boys.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, the local banks would still offer you, like, the same financial terms. They just, like, weren't as good on the tech side, and we're pretty like lean, automated first sort of company. So it's like we got to go with the tools that can get it done that way.
What do you mean like the tech side? Just like the portals and shit?
Yeah, like integrating into ERPs and
Yeah.
automating reconciliation and just like different bells and whistles that like
Uh-huh.
a real banking system, JP Morgan's the best, right? All that money they put into tech, they're able to just offer you things that, other people can't.
Yeah, it's like
I won't pretend to know all of them, but
yeah. It is, like, funny, like, so we bank with JP Morgan, and, like, every time I, like, try to log into, like, my bank account, it, like, gives me an aneurysm, and I text my banker, and I'm like, "I cannot believe" like, it's funny how they're, like, the most, like, tech forward, bank, and I'm just like, I
yeah,
hate trying
yeah.
I hate trying to get into my bank account because you guys suck, but they're also yeah, it's also the best. So, okay, so then, eventually, TSG comes around, right? And so this is, like, pretty new. I guess it was, I don't know, like in May, I think, that it was announced at least.
Yeah, May or June?
Yeah, May
June.
or June. It's announced that Dude Wipes, quote unquote, takes I think it was like significant investment from TSG. Which can you just like tell us who TSG is? Because I think not everybody will know exactly who they are, but they're a very significant player.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. They're private equity focused on consumer. So they started in San Francisco, and I met Chuck, who started the firm. And his story was like in the 80s, private equity was not focused on anything. It was just like you were just private equity bringing money
Just
together.
like ripping LBOs. Yeah.
I'll just put it here, there, and he was, one of the first people to focus on, like, consumer, and so whether that's, like, consumer goods or,
Yeah.
retail, like, consumer locations like Core Power and
Mhm.
Crumble Cookie and stuff like that, So yeah, they've just been focused on that for a long time, and a big fund that looks to get involved with companies, at our stage, to help fuel next level of growth.
Yeah, like they're like I would consider like OG like consumer private equity guys. Like you said, like they own like Crumble. I think they owned like Elf at one point too, I
Yeah,
think. And
yeah,
like yeah, before it went public. And so this is like they're up there with like the best of the best in terms of like consumer investors. And so I was like pumped when I saw the deal because I was like, wow, these guys have been like absolutely duking it out for a decade. And so
right.
like literally like I'm like this is like about time, that something happened. So I'm kind of curious, like to the extent that you can share, and like the irony of trying to host like a capital markets or finance focused podcast. It's like there's a lot that people don't want to say. So
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
don't don't say anything you don't want to say. But like I do, and we talked a little bit about this last week. But like I want to hear more about like how this deal came to be. How long were you talking to these guys for? Like when did you decide you wanted to do it? Take us like through like that whole journey.
yeah. I mean, obviously, we're always taking conversations with like relevant players, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Duties to our shareholders. We're always looking for like, hey, could there be a partner for the right level of business? So kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
accustomed to taking conversations, but it's a different
Okay.
thing. Like, being open to selling your company is just not something we were, currently marketing or doing.
Right, right.
Um, and I got a cold email from someone there, which I didn't even read. And then he followed up again. And then I forwarded to my co-founder and CFO, Jeff, who's, used to be an investment banker.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
all these guys like you do, like these guys worth talking to. And he's like, yeah, they're
Yeah, like
super
TSG
fit.
is
Like
probably worth talking to. Yeah.
on the phone with them. Um,
That's so good.
yeah, yeah. So talk about random cold email, started the whole relationship, and yeah, hopped on the phone. A guy named Pranav set it up, and we hopped on the phone. He got some other people involved. We just had a good, first conversation about what we were up to. And they were, very complimentary and saying, well, hey, we're looking for people to partner up with, drive some growth equity who are on good trajectories,
Yeah.
but are looking for partners like us. And yeah, probably evolved from that first conversation to done deal, 6 months, something like that.
Okay.
7 months, yeah.
And like, when in that time frame did you guys like enter? Like, you were like, we have an LOI. Like, we're gonna start doing diligence. Like, so you met them 6 months, and then 6 months to close. Was it like 3 months to close
No,
in
it's probably
terms of?
like it was probably like halfway through there that it
Yeah,
got to,
yeah,
like, okay, we're actually gonna dig into this thing, you know, and,
yeah.
close it sorta deal.
And what about this group in particular was like exciting to you? Because you guys were bootstrapped forever. I mean, presumably you could have kept going. You probably had a lot of options. I mean, you I assume are the number one player in this category. I don't know any of. Well, I guess there's like one or two other brands, but like you had a lot of options, I imagine. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
what about TSG? Like what?
We're number 1. You had it right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I can't even think of like another one, honestly.
We just beat Cottonelle. So
Did
10
you?
years, 10, 12 years later, they invented the category back in the day, and we just surpassed
For
them,
what?
and
Just for wipes in general?
yeah, yeah, for wipes, flushable
Really?
wipes. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. Is it like?
It in Nielsen kinda deal, you know?
Do you guys? Is there any like women's? I mean, it's called dude wipes, but like call it like chick wipes or something.
There's a lot of women's, like, buyers and people who vibe with the dude
Okay.
brands. So yeah, definitely a popular idea we get, but right now we're
Yeah, yeah.
staying focused on the dude, and we just did the little dude. So the little dude
Oh,
wipe,
oh.
the dope
That's
we're
awesome.
having fun with, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of more a lot more butts out there, so I'm sure you guys are
Yeah,
but
and there's a
yes.
lot of time, you know?
Yeah, so anyways though, on the TSG front, like what about these guys? Like if you're talking to like another founder who's like considering private equity, like what about them do you think like made you want to do the deal, and like how's it going so far?
Yeah. Definitely just the culture and the fit, since we both weren't, like, in the market for anything. It was like, hey, if we meet a good partner, and like you said, you go through those conversations with different people,
Mhm.
and we kinda, like, clicked with them. They weren't trying to come in and buy a majority stake. They really liked what we were doing. They wanted to help out, with a lot of wonderful things that, like, a firm like them brings on the help side, but really they wanted to like invest in the growth thesis, the team, the plan.
Yeah.
We were very transparent. Like, this is what we plan on doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and we'd
And they're
love
like,
to
"Great." Yeah.
look for ways to grow it and like, yeah, look for right partners. And they're like, we agree with you guys. Obviously, they have to do a lot of diligence themselves to like say, okay, we understand this plan. But right from the get go, we clicked well and they
Yeah.
believe.
Well, I was gonna ask a little bit about the diligence process because like this is like there's a huge difference obviously between like raising like venture money and like real. I would consider this to be like real private equity money. I don't know like the terms of the deal, but like was it like brutal or like was it pretty collaborative? Like talk a little bit of, and how involved were you and the team? Did you have an advisor? Like what was that like?
Yeah, yeah. We had a bank in Harris Williams.
Okay, cool.
So they were our investment bank for 4 or 5 years even before we did this deal, so we had a relationship from them. Just at different times when we were having different conversations with people, we were able to bring them in as sort
Okay.
of our representation, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, long relationship with them. They did an amazing job. So, obviously, your banker is, that's a must hire, right? That's like your real estate agent, like, they're gonna do
Yeah, yeah.
so much different work for you, but it's still gonna be a ton of work on the brand and the team to
Yeah.
turn around a lot of those diligences. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of extra work that comes into the teams. You try and protect the right people who don't need to get involved because
Mhm.
obviously still running a business. You don't know if a deal is going to happen or not.
That's the
But
thing, yeah.
certain people, particularly in finance, have a lot of extra work to do to kind of marry up these two models and
Yeah.
scenarios. But that's what people in finance and bankers and stuff do for a living. So it's good at it. They enjoy it and they have fun, and, our team had a good time too, but I think it's nice when that stuff is over and you can go fully focused on growing the business.
And you, like, learn a lot in those processes too,
Oh,
uh,
totally. Yeah.
in terms like, I mean, especially for I mean, I know you guys were having conversations all the time and, like, you did, like, you had, like, some, like, smaller investors, I guess, but, like, this was like, your first, like, foray was, like, kind of a big one, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Cuban to them, bootstrapped.
Yeah, yeah. When we took, money from Cuban, it was like I mean, I remember I don't know how it was like for you guys, but, so my partners, from Mad Rabbit, like, they were on Shark Tank, I was not on the show, and, like, I ended up, like, executing, like, all the diligence with Mark Cuban companies, and, he had, like, an army like, his was, like, way more thorough than, like, any of the rest of the money that we raised, like, it was, like, actually,
Oh,
like,
wow.
almost in reverse like, I remember getting put on an email with, like, 9 people, like, he had, like, 4 lawyers or something, and I was like, "This is, like" I was, like, 22 years old probably, I was like, "I have no idea what I'm
Yeah,
doing."
yeah. He's like, "Alright, yeah, I'll get through this diligence."
I was
That's
like,
all.
"Yeah, like, no problem, guys, I got it." I did, like I worked at an investment bank for, like, 18 months, and I was like,
Oh,
"Alright,
okay.
I'm ready."
That's like 4 years in the real world, so you had some experience, you know?
Yeah, 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 buddy, yeah, yeah. Um,
I think we might have been early enough with Cuban. It wasn't that professionalized yet. It
okay.
was a pretty light diligence, when we did that.
Yeah, this was, like, 2021, 2020 maybe?
Okay.
2020.
Yeah, we were 2015.
And how long did it take you guys to, like, close your deal with Cuban, like, from the show?
Um, Probably like 5 months, but a lot of it was just super slow lawyers getting back and forth, just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ours
summertime.
was, like, 9 months.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And they I mean, their team was great though. Like we had, we raised like subsequent financings, and so there was like some concessions that had to be made off of the Shark Tank convertible note, which I don't know what yours looked like, but ours is like fairly unique, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so like we would just like Mark was always he was always great. Like he would just ask him anything, and he would just be like, yeah, cool, like no worries.
Right, yeah, yeah. Just
It's like
like
I don't really care about you.
banging it out, getting deals done, like, yeah, go,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And I mean, he knows the game. He's gotta make a ton of bets on Shark Tank, and he sees some people who are scaling and are interesting, but he's gotta kinda be very strategic the way he kinda, like, moves through things and doesn't let it, slow him down.
I'm sure you guys are, like, pretty up there in terms of, like, success stories from Shark Tank, right? I
Mhm.
mean, like, top 5 probably at least. Like, there's Bombas, which is, like, some like, they went ballistic. I mean, I guess nobody really knows well, I don't know the details, but you have to be top 5 Shark Tank company, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, last time they ran, like, one, we were 7, like, they
Okay.
ran one on the Shark Tank that I saw, but that was, like, 2 years ago. Um, yeah, so we're
Dude,
they do it by, like,
that's so
lifetime
epic.
revenue, I think,
Yeah.
since Shark Tank, but yeah, Bombas has crushed it, Scrub
Oh,
Daddy has
Scrub
crushed
Daddy.
it,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, Poppy,
True.
is a
Yeah,
Shark Tank.
true.
I think they had a different brand maybe when they were on the show.
It was called Mothers.
Mothers? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's another big one or 2 though that I'm not thinking of.
That's so epic. That's like a real, like, achievement. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
so
It is funny.
one other thing I kinda wanted to get to was, so, like, you guys did this deal, right around the time that, Dr. Squatch got acquired, by Unilever, which, like, I know they're not, like, like, you guys are obviously not competitors, but, like, there's this sort of, like, men's personal care, like, is it fair can I put you in the men's personal care bucket or no?
Um, it would be one bucket we play in,
Okay,
but, like, our competitors, quote, unquote, "in category" is big toilet paper
okay.
brands, and private label and stuff like that, so but yeah, it's weird. Dude Wipes is kinda weird, like, you don't know exactly where to put it, in
Yeah.
terms of, like it's a new men's grooming tool, in my opinion, and that's one of the cool things we've done is, like,
Right.
toothpaste, deodorant, Dude Wipes, kinda deal.
Well, that's, like, kinda that's how I think about it, like, I understand, like, from, like a share of wallet perspective that, like, yes, you're competing with the toilet paper or whatever, but, like, on the vein of, like, there's been this, like, idea for probably, like, a decade, that men are gonna start, like, really taking care of themselves,
Right.
and it's never really yielded, like, actual successful businesses except for, like, Dude Wipes and Dr. Squatch,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And, like
Men are gonna start taking care of themselves and, using bars of soap and wiping their ass is about as far
yeah.
as it's gonna go.
And
That's what we've learned over the
that's
past 10 years.
that's, like, literally the extent of it. Yeah.
Hey, we're elevating though. We're making improvements,
It's one step at a time, man,
We're
one
gonna
step
be
at a
doing it
time.
in 10 more years using face serums and you know?
Yeah, I started using, a vitamin C serum
Oh, yeah,
because
those are
I
great, man.
looked at myself and I was like, "Holy, this guy's aging. I need some
I'm
stuff or something." So
radiant
now I
now
spend,
with
like
that vitamin
yeah, yeah, yeah,
C.
you can see it through the camera.
Yeah, yeah. You're glowing, Drew.
But, like, so what I guess I was curious because, like, you mentioned, TSG, like, wasn't, like, you know, aggressively, like, looking for something to buy, and you guys, like, weren't necessarily looking to sell, and just kinda, like, the stars kind of
Well, I think
align,
they're
like
always looking for something to buy, like, that's their job, you know? Um,
okay, yeah,
yeah,
right.
so
But, like, you said that, like, they weren't like, "We need to buy your company now," or, like
no, no, yeah, it was like kind of, "Hey, we're interested. Does the timing work out?"
yeah.
"How do we think a partnership looks like?" But
So,
yeah.
I guess I'm wondering, um, just based off, like, this, like, recent activity, in terms of, like, Dude Wipes and Squash, and, like, I'm sure there's, like, a bunch of other, like, smaller stuff, but, did TSG or, like, broadly, is the men are gonna start taking care of themselves, like, is that, like, kind of the broad thesis or, like, tailwind that, they wanted to kind of deploy into, or was it different than that?
I think it's yes, it's some of that, and then it's more about, like, the category growth of, like, the brand and what we're doing, kinda like it's getting consumed in a lot of different places. The brand sorta men's grooming halo is a real thing, but at the end of the day, they're, like, more bought into how it was gonna execute via Dude Wipes and, from a mathematical standpoint, right? Like, what retailers are you gonna get into? What SKUs are you gonna launch? What velocities are you gonna start to do? Um, and that's our whole plan. And as we grow the marketing and the mind share along the way, we think there's a lot more people, who are down to come into the Dude Wipes brand, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
getting in that space. So, yeah, it wasn't like a singular like thesis, like maybe
Okay.
squats, maybe a little bit more singular around like men's grooming, but I'm sure then they also had to focus them in around, like, how many bars of soap can they sell? How much
Mhm.
deodorant can they sell? And do we think they're ever gonna sell toothpaste? Like, they had to break that all down and,
Yeah.
decide what it was within that space.
So how much wood is left to how many butts are left to white? how many butts have you wiped, and how many butts are left to wipe?
Yeah. Last year, we wiped 3.4 billion butts.
Billion?
Billion butts. So we count that as like, one wipe out of our pack.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
butt wiped. So we produced and sold over 3 billion of those.
Is this like in the Dude Wipes headquarters in terms of like butts wiped? Like when Facebook had like users, you have butts wiped.
Yeah, yeah. It's
100%.
like a KPI on our dashboard. The system does the math to show us
Yeah,
like
yeah.
butts wiped. So at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. How many
Literally.
butts do we have left to wipe?
Yes.
I think quite a bit, but only about a third of America currently, like, uses this butt wipe on their ass as an adult.
Okay.
So we think there's a lot more room to grow there, and that we're the brand that continues to bring that innovation, that fun, that mindset to it, and so we'll just help lead the way, but yeah, we just have a big growth theory on the category, both in the US and, around the world as well.
Do you do international yet?
Now,
You're not internet. Okay, wow. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of butts.
when you were getting those
International.
calls at, like, when you guys were doing, like, 2 million at Mad Rabbit about selling into other markets and stuff,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's also tempting, and, I mean, we've tried different things, but none of that typically is ever worth your time or energy until you've focused on the market here and understood, like, the saturation and the scale of it. You don't wanna wait too long, but most people go way too early.
We the only international stuff that I don't know if I don't know if this is still true, but we did Amazon Canada was like kind of like our big
Oh,
international
yeah,
push,
yeah.
which was
That
like
doesn't count.
yeah, okay. Okay. So in terms of like wiping the rest of those butts, is it are you kind of mentioned like velocities, retailers. Is it mostly just like how many more like I guess what is the plan in terms of like we have the TSG backing now, we've been at it for 12 years, like we're number 1 and we just overtook Cottonelle, like what drives growth from here? Distribution, product launches, etc.
Yeah. Little bit of everything. Distribution drives growth, awareness and marketing and brand building drives, more velocity and more growth within
Mhm.
that same distribution, innovation that we're gonna be coming out with. So probably those are the 3 big levers, and we just kinda the way we map out the category feel like we're still early in on it, and that's why it made sense to play the game longer, essentially. That's one of the
Yeah,
values
yeah.
private equity firm brings in, like, "Hey, we're having fun. We wanna keep doing this. Let's bring in a partner to the next level and go grow some more." But yeah, the growth thesis is just more distribution, more category growth. Like, I'm not so focused on market share because when you're in a growing category, like, I don't think
Right.
our market share is going anywhere, but it's, all boats are gonna be lifting, and that's just how
Well, you
categories
guys
work.
probably have like what's your do you know your market share? Like 50% or something?
No, it's not quite that much. Yeah, omni-channel, it's weird. We're probably like a third or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to check with the team on that one.
I mean, that's still like domination.
Oh, yeah, private label's got like a 40% market share, like,
Oh,
too, like,
okay. And
yeah.
what, like, P&G has, how many how much toilet paper are those guys sell? It's like 20 billion a year or something like that, like something crazy.
Worldwide, probably. I know the US toilet paper market's like 12, 13 billion alone.
That is insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so wait, so why I should have asked about this earlier, but, like, and remember, like, do you remember I'm sure you have to remember, like, when everybody was, like, hoarding toilet paper during COVID,
Yeah.
how did that impact you guys? Like, I'm sure people were hoarding Dude Wipes too. Was that, like, an inflection point for you guys?
Yeah. They were hoarding the TP and, it was all gone, like, within a weekend.
Yeah.
March, all the retailers' toilet paper is gone, and we just kinda sent in all the wipes that we had, so we were completely sold out, but then we were able to react very quickly, building things here in the US with our partners to, like, triple manufacturing capacity,
Oh,
essentially
wow.
overnight, like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
overnight, but as quick as the materials could come in,
Uh-huh.
and, sold that all throughout to the markets, introduced a bunch of new people to the brand, We
Yeah.
kind of just like never let go of that capacity sort of deal
And I
slash
think
the customers, you know.
you, like, mentioned I think you unless I'm making this up, I think you mentioned to me when we were at Michael's last week, like, people, like, actually, like, stay on these things, like, for, like, a while, right? Like, what
Yeah,
like, like, what can you say about, like, the retention of the product in terms of, like, like, I don't know, LTV is not much of, like, a retail metric, I guess,
right.
but, like
I think the retention of our category from what I've seen is like 70%. So kind of like 7 out of 10 people who try it stick with it. And
yeah,
then it's just a market share after that. Like
yeah,
all people who buy brands are not monogamous. Like that's one thing that brand owners have to realize. Like,
yeah.
yes, there's people who love dude wipes, but like the minute I'm not available at their store and someone else is,
Totally gone, yeah, yeah.
yeah, they'll grab the other guy. Maybe they'll order me on Amazon next time or whatever, but, like, people want their stuff when they want it. And so while we have great loyalty as a brand, we have the leading loyalty in our
Still a
category.
bloodbath, yeah.
It's still a bloodbath, and I think, that's one thing I've learned, um, is that's how it works in all categories, you know, like, that's why Coke and Pepsi exist. It's like, "Oh, they
Right.
don't got Coke? Oh, grab a Pepsi." Like, we don't care really as consumers as much as brands like to pretend.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this, like, this 8 months ago, you posted this, like, chart of the revenue, and so, like, in 2020, you did 42,000,000, and in 2021, you did 67,000,000, 2022 is 102,000,000, 102,000,000, I don't know why I said it like that. Um, so basically, it was, like, 8 years to get to 40, and then since then, you've, like, 5x'd. Like, is that was that how much of that was, like, having a good product versus, like, the category coming into its own? I mean, I'm sure it's all, like, a little bit of both, but, like,
Right.
are there any, like, catalysts, I guess, like, you could point to that, like, may be, like, replicable, in terms of, like, how do you like, you guys, like, you really did sort of go, like, hockey stick.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's, like, why the hockey stick graph, like, sort of exists, you know, like,
Staying
things
alive
build
until it
up to a
works,
certain
yeah.
extent, and then they hit these, like, apex points, and a lot of that comes through distribution or just, like, the distribution of, like, usage as well, you know, like, early
Mhm.
majority, and then you start pulling into late majority, or minority. You start, like, getting more people into the category, but a great product and, like, a great brand, which is what I believe we're doing, kinda, like,
Yeah.
also creates the category, and so that's where if you're completely abundant with your mindset, like, you're not super dependent on what the category is doing as long as
Uh-huh.
you are driving something net new that people like in it, like, people may just not know about it as much, so, like, we think we're driving the category with the whole Dude Wipes playbook, and that's why
Gotcha.
certain distribution inflection points just make it pop off.
And okay, so then that may be, part of the impetus for going the private equity route because you guys wanna kinda double down on that and, like, be able to
Right.
continue. So mostly, like, marketing type investments, is that kinda what you're thinking now?
You know, we're still running a profitable company
Yeah,
pretty much to the same, you know, EBITDA levels that we have recently, continuing to look for efficiencies and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, we're still, and so we have a huge marketing budget though, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're not like going overly aggressive on it to compensate for like bottom line. Like we're keeping
Yeah,
our
yeah.
story and our way. Honestly, there's a lot more things in like capacity and logistics and operations, that start to take a little bit more one-time investments and like
Okay.
chunks of capital to set up. But then those
Like
like recur.
legitimate, like, CapEx stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Okay, so that's, like,
Uh,
kinda like that's what you're more interested in financing then with the external capital.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. And, like, is that like, walk me through, like, any like, 1 or 2 of those. Like, I imagine you guys are, like, already on, like, a NetSuite or something, right?
Like a big wipes machine. You
Oh, so
know,
you're wait, so you're buying the machine.
um, we're not like owning a lot of assets, no, but we could make investments to speed things up
Got
at
it.
places.
Okay.
Yeah, and kind of, so putting money into that. We're like doing a new DC down by Arkansas, to make
Okay.
some things more efficient. So yeah, stuff like that. Not huge CapEx expenses by any means, but investments that we haven't traditionally made, and
Yeah.
numbers get bigger, those investments get bigger.
And are those the kind of things like TSG or I guess like, insert private equity fund, like, are they pretty hands-on in terms of, like, helping do all that stuff? And, like, is that, like, part of the value of working with them? It's, like, not only the capital to make those investments that are gonna, like, lead to margin expansion over time, but also, like, the actual execution of the initiative.
I would say execution in like a minority deal less, right? Because they're like
Okay.
saying, "Hey, you guys are the executors, you're the owners."
Yeah, yeah.
But in majority deal, I think execution changes. But in these situations, a lot of like the analysis is, should we play here? Yes, let's go spend that money there. No, let's negotiate it like this. So it's sort of like a great thought partner to have as these different inflection points hit. And of course, a great resource to get it done. But at the end of the day, it's still on us to get it done because it's still our company.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting just from, like, minority, majority. Because I always if I see a group like TSG, I always think, like, it's majority, but I keep forgetting that it was minority, and so they're still kinda like, "It's up to you guys to, like, do this stuff."
Which
Man,
are
it's
great investments to make, honestly, like, betting on operators who you think are gonna scale and win. It's way less work if you're private equity
yeah,
than
yeah, yeah.
it is to get involved, right? And
Yeah, you
obviously,
just show up for the
skills
board
are
meeting.
awful. A lot of times they do have to get involved in different situations, but, yeah, if I'm an investor, I'm always looking for opportunities where I can get behind people who, like, got the operations down.
This has been so great. I love how I'm glad that the conversation went this way in terms of like kind of starting all the way through to like why do this chapter and sort of what's coming next. So this has been awesome. I want to ask like one more question that I ask a bunch of guests sort of at the end here, which like I don't know if you'll
Yeah.
have an answer to this or not since you're still like in the trenches, but like if you were gonna start a brand tomorrow, would you start the same type of brand or would you do like a different category?
If I was gonna start a brand tomorrow.
You get fired and you have
I
to
like that. I
go.
like that question. Yeah, because a lot of times people are always like, "Oh, what would you do next?" And it's like, well, if you don't know the timing, like, who knows
Yeah.
what you want to be doing,
I'm saying,
you
like,
know?
you got fired, like, they
Yeah,
canned your
yeah.
ass, yeah.
One thing I could see doing immediately would be opening up some franchises at Chiba Huts.
Oh,
So
dude, nice,
that's a
yes.
sandwich shop I think is super dope, and I talked to some of the guys over there, and
It's so
I
good.
believe in the mission, I believe in the scale, and I think that would be something fun to do. It'd be a lot
Uh-huh.
of work and everything,
Restaurant's
but
brutal.
kinda like growing some presences and, like, learning that whole industry, too, and doing it with, like, a brand, that was fun, so I've been joking around about that lately with my wife and kids because they all love Chiba Hut, like, I wanna franchise Chiba Huts.
Dude, I love I my sister lives in Boulder, and, like,
Oh,
I
no way.
so, like, the cheap like, they have it in I mean, you've been to the one it's in Wrigley, right? There's one in Wrigleyville.
Wicker is the one right by my
It's in
house.
Wicker? Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's one in Wrigley too, though, yeah.
Okay, so they have 2 here, yeah. I was like we used to drive up to, like, Steamboat Springs or whatever not used to, we still do, and we'd stop at Chiba Hut every time because like, that was, like, the only place to get a Chiba Hut sandwich.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, the OG locations were in Boulder, I think.
Alright, well, if you open one up, I want in.
Yeah, let's do it. Chiba Hut Empire.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first, Sean Riley, pivoting away from Dude Wipes and into Chiba Hut. No, just kidding.
Go look them up.
All right, man. Well, I want to give you just the opportunity, I guess, just to like plug whatever you want if you have anything. I mean, I know you're big on LinkedIn, so people can find you, Sean Riley on LinkedIn. Is there anything else you want to point
Yeah,
people to?
follow me on there. If you got a small business product, you want me to review it, shoot me a DM.
Oh
Try
yeah,
and,
because you're doing that as like a series now. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, just iPhone, post them when I get them. But I get a lot of stuff, kinda all piles up
oh
at the
wow,
office and get to open up fun products.
that's awesome. Yeah, send
Yeah,
Sean some. I don't know, not
whatever you
not
got.
ass wipes. Yeah, whatever you
Send 'em
have.
what you got 'em, yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks so much for your time. It's good to see you.